Good to go? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds like a plan. We're going to have a lot to eat today, I think. Okay, so tonight I'm going to be making the turkey burger with the potato planks and the squash. Have you guys gotten boxes yet? Have you gotten yours yet? The Wednesday, Thursday box?
Yeah.
You've gotten it before? Have you made the turkey burger yet?
I kind of wing it with them. I just love them. They're so tasty.
Okay, good. I'm going to show you how we meant to make it to begin with. So we'll see how you made it. Yeah, okay. Good. So we'll whip it up real quick. First thing I do is I start with the potato. I get a nice russet. I leave the skin on because there's lots of nutrients in the skin. I take the ends off of this because there's little brown spots. I don't throw away things that have spots on them. I use them still. I just take stuff off. So what I like to do is I like to cut it in 12s. So I'll cut it in 4s first. And then I'll take and cut that one in the 3rd. And you notice the little brown heart on there. I'll just take that right off because that's kind of bitter. But there's no sense in throwing that away because it's still good. So I'll do that. And I'll cut all of these this way. Yeah, this time of year we're going to start seeing a little bit more of the brown stuff because potatoes are pretty far away from harvest date. They've been sitting in storage for a while, so you're going to start seeing these things. All right, so I do that. What I like to do is put it in a little bit of water, and what this will do is leach out some of the starch. What you do, the reason you do that is when you bake it off, because we're not going to fry it, it's going to crisp up better once some of that starch is out of it. It'll let moisture release, and so you'll have more of a crispy texture to your fries. That's the reason I do that. If you are not sodium restricted, you can put a little salt in the water and it'll pull more moisture out. If you are, then don't worry about it. It'll still do what it needs to do. So while I'm doing that, then I'll get my squash out. Since there's only a few of us, I'm only going to cut one up. This is called the gray squash. I don't think I put these in your boxes yet, but they're popular right now. They also call them Korean squash because Koreans eat them, and they also call them Mexican squash because they're Mexican. So there's a bunch of names for it. This one's got just a couple little spots on it. We'll take off. Looks pretty good for the most part. So however you want to do it, if you want to slice it in coins, if you want to dice it up. I like mine to be a little crisp. So what I like to do is take it in half, and we call this in the business, we call these half moons. So just cut those like that. And then you get like this little moon. So we get that going. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to put just a tiny bit of water in the bottom of this pan, about 1/4 of an inch. What that does is it allows the stuff to steam without taking all the nutrients out of it. So you put just a little bit of water. If you have a steamer basket, even better. Because when you boil it, it's like this potato here, it pulls all the stuff out of it. Squash, you want to keep the vitamins and the minerals in there. Potatoes, you want to pull the starch out of it to crisp it. So it's a little different. So we'll just do that. Pop those in there. Fire going on that. I blew on it because I had trying to get the gas over to the pilot. All right, so we'll get that going. Lid on it. All right. Meantime, we get our toppings going. So I got some green leaf lettuce. I just take crunchy, kind of rough ends off, a little brown on it, clean it up a little bit. Right, tomato. Everybody here like tomatoes? Yeah. My tomatoes in my garden finally this year are doing pretty well. Got little tiny cherry ones, nice and red, rich right now. All right, so we'll just do a few slices here. Nice sharp knife. Alrighty. We'll do a few tomato slices. Onion slices. I like to use the red onion. I've told you guys this before, but the stuff with color has more phytonutrients in it, so better for you. They're studying these things. They haven't come out with all of the details yet because tiny molecular stuff, but they're finding that the stuff that has color in it, like your red onions, your beets, those kinds of things, they have some good processing, your cellular processing, your different functions in your body. It helps those things. Hair, eyes, nails, those kinds of things are improved with the colorful vegetables. They say eat the rainbow. So I cut it like that and I just pull the paper off. It's easier than peeling the whole thing. Because I'll save that for later. And it's got its own wrapper this way. So we'll put a few of those. All right. That's boiling away because you want to put a little bit in so it'll bake super quick. And while we're doing that, keep this going. After this leaches for a minute, so if you're timing this out, you would have done all of the potatoes first and got it in the oven because it takes about 20 minutes in the oven. Then you would have done your squash. But by the magic of TV, I already made the fries, so they're done already. But I'll show you how to do these right here. So I put the potatoes. I like to just give them a little pat dry. Paper towel or kitchen towel, whatever. You're going to put them in the oven, so you don't have to worry too much about what gets on there. So I'm going to put dry. That's going.
Ideally, how long should the potatoes be left in the water?
To leach?
Yes.
5-10 minutes. It doesn't need to be long. I mean, you can leave them in there 20 minutes. You can put them in there and leave them the night over, but they get to a point where they're saturated and they won't do anything else after that. So yeah, depending on, I mean, if you want to do it in the morning, that way it's ready for you later in the day. So this is going for like a teaspoon, I think, or what does it say? Tablespoon. So I'll just put a little bit in there. This was an empty can. So I like to get a coat on that. Tiny bit of salt and pepper. A little garlic powder for some good flavor. A little paprika for a little tiny bit of color. Squash is looking good. Squash, usually 3-4 minutes is all you need on that. If you like to be cooking a little further, so it's softer than 5 minutes, probably all you need. All right, so I top it like that, so you get a little coating on there. See there, TV guests, YouTubers, my friends. Okay, you got that going. And then I'll just lay it. Let's see, we'll take this out. Show you. So ideally, you put this in the oven and get it nice and hot first. And when you pull it out, you'll set your potato on there while it's still warm. And it'll sear it so it won't stick to the pan as bad. So if you're trying to keep things clean, use a hot pan to set your stuff on. If you're not using oil and stuff, it's got a little bit of oil on it, but not enough to keep it from trying to stick. But if you use a hot pan, it keeps it from like adhering to the pan. So you get a little bit less mess. And you get to keep your potato skin because that stuff's tasty. I try to set it on the skin, get it to stand up. Sometimes it tries to fall over, but again, that's just to keep it from sticking to your pan. So I just lay it out in there like that. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of. It's falling everywhere now. So by the magic, I just go out here, come in, put it into my magic oven. I take it out and voila! The pan grows. 3 potatoes appear instead of 1. It's just magic. Still hot, so I'm gonna set it right there. All right. Squash is now done. All right, I had this pan preheating a little bit since I'm not gonna use oil. And then I'm gonna pop in my. First, what I'm gonna do is spice this little patty up a little bit. So a little salt and pepper. If you're sodium restricted, then don't put too much salt. I have garlic out of here. Use the powder. I like to use fresh garlic, but I don't know what I did with it. So a little bit of that. Okay, and then I add it into the pan with that. These are my granddaughters. They're coming to stay a couple days with Pop. So as soon as I'm done here, we're gonna go home and jump in the pool. All right, that's cooking. I'm gonna take the lid off of that. Right. That's how I like to see. It's hard to tip cooking. Just a little done. Got a little crunch left in it, so got a lot more nutrients left in it. That's how we do. All right, I got that going. I like to toast my bun. Not everybody likes that, but I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it. If I can get it in the light. Get that warmed up a little bit, and I'll just pop it on there toast. Any questions so far? And making a burger is not that hard, right? Just whip it up. Down. While that's cooking, I'm gonna do a little clean as I go. Yeah. On here for the turkey burger, I did not. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it lower in fat, so I don't put oil in the bottom of it. I heat the pan up. There's a little bit of fat in the meat, so I'll pop it down. It'll stick a little bit, but it won't be like if I put it into a cold pan. You put it into same if you're making bacon. You put it into a cold pan, you're getting a spatula and you're scraping on it, thing like that. But if you put it into a hot pan, you're not sticking as bad.
So, what is your opinion about using cast iron?
That's all I use in my house. I love it, but if you have an issue with iron, because you get iron into your food when you use it, so it could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, it's mostly what I use at home. Yeah, I really like it. It doesn't work so well. I might burn my bun. It doesn't work so well with the glass top stoves, but when I purchased my house, I put in propane so that I could have a real oven and a real stove because I hate electric. Worst. It's all I could find up here. But anyway, that's me. Some people like it. All right, so what I do with these things is you get a little blood showing on top, and that tells you it's time to turn it over. Worst thing you can do for your patties, steaks, anything, is to be flipping them and flipping them and flipping them and flipping them. Flip them once, done. Flip them once, and then you keep all the juices in there. They're not all dry and hard like cardboard. Keeps it all contained. All right. So by the magic of TV, we're going for the burgers now. once they're cooked, they look like this. So precious. So we got a whole wheat here. And that helps with your fiber and those kinds of things. A little less processing in the whole wheat. So a little less inflammation. There's some because it's wheat, but not as much. If you can find a gluten-free one, if you're into that kind of thing, a lot of times that's less inflammation. If you're looking for healthy things. But yeah, that's it. Just load it up. Whatever you like on there. I have listed on the recipe some lettuce, tomato, and onion. But if you want to put pickle and you don't have a sodium restriction, you want to put mustard, mayo, whatever you like on there, so long as you're not restricted, then go for it. Just like McDonald's almost, except not. All right. Let's load it up. I almost served you guys dinner tonight since there wasn't very many people. All right, I got forks right here too. And there. All right. You guys want one?
I'll wrap up a hamburger
Okay.
for dinner tonight.
You want one?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me how you think. It's just salt, pepper, garlic, and paprika, and a little olive oil. Just roast it off in the oven. Yep. I crank it up high, so I go 400, and then after about 5 minutes, I'll turn it down a little bit. This thing says 375 on the recipe. You can do that. I usually like to blow things up initially and then cut them down. So what you do when you go high heat is you seal it. Sear it, seal it, and then you cut the heat back down again, and it retains moisture when you do a sear. So you can do that with roasting too. You crank it, you seal the outside of it with that high heat, and then you turn the heat back down again so it doesn't burn. So, little trick, restaurant trick to make it taste better when you're not frying it.